go. Sorry. All right, sorry people. I forgot to turn on my mic. But anyways, thank you for coming. This is the check-in. I am your host, Heat Detector, and I'm gonna have to get up again because my mic is now too loud. Can you that first channel? Can you just turn it down just a little bit? Turn it down. I mean the main volume, the big knob. Just turn it down, turn it down, turn it down, 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 right there. All right, let's try this one more time. Thank you, Killer Cam. All right, let's try this one more time. All right, shout out to any and everybody that's watching. Sorry about that. Just trying to get shit organized and going by myself. It's all good. Welcome to the check-in. I'm your boy Heat Detector, and this is the check-in. And I'm going to start by giving a disclaimer. I am not a licensed psychiatrist, therapist, or anything of that nature. I'm just a dude who has some life experiences, and I'm on a journey of discovery, basically, because I'm discovering who I am truly, and just figuring this shit out, you know, as crazy as that may sound. But I'm trying to get the privacy settings straight. I don't know why it's not doing it. Let me see here. Let me tap that. Blah, 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 blah. Edit privacy. There we go. Public. Boom. Yeah, again, so I'm just a guy on a life's journey, so to speak, and just figuring all this shit out as it goes. That mic right there? Yeah, that's mic. No, that's mic 2. And that's it. Not a psychiatrist, not anything of that nature. But also part of the show is to help people within this shit. You know, that is the whole point of doing this, is to hopefully give somebody some type of help or understanding that they're not the only ones going through any types of issues, because we talk about everything. But to get the disclaimer again out the way, if you have thin skin, you dream of bunny rabbits and unicorns, and you easily get your feelings hurt or you're easily offended, this show is probably not for you, because we do a lot of straight talk here, and things are said, and some people may get offended by said things being the things that are being said. And the easiest way to avoid any shit is just go watch something else, you know, because this is talk, this is real talk, and this is real understanding of situations and things and life and in general, and you know, how all this shit works, or how it should work, or how we think it should work, or, you know, we got somebody in the building. Look at that.
What's going on, y'all?
You got to turn your mic on. You got to unmute mic 2. But yeah, so if you feel any kind of way, if you're easily offended, if you walk around with your emotion, nope, not that button, the red one, that one, there you go. If you're easily offended, just go somewhere else. Go watch something else. Go listen to something else. Save yourself the hassle. Save us the hassle, so we don't get flagged.
There we go.
We don't get any bullshit for no fucking reason. Because it's a lot of this show is about accountability. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that especially as men, we need to be held accountable for, and we need to understand, learn, think, process, all of that. So with that being said, also in the building, we got from Whoop De Whoop, Killer Cam
the Don.
Cam the Don. It's not Cam the Don, because you did not win that.
Just because I didn't win
this is not the show for that.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
All right.
What's going on, y'all?
So, Cam, nice having you. Thank you for being on the show tonight. Usually we have
no problem.
the other co-host, Jizzo, that's usually here. He's not here.
I'm a fill-in.
He had a long night last night, I suppose, for the 10-year anniversary of Shy City Cypher. Good turnout, good crowd, dope show, and shout out to all of that.
100%.
But it had me thinking about saying I'm sorry. You know, when you apologize to somebody or saying I'm sorry. I know there's a difference between the two. And does it even mean anything anymore? Do people even take an I'm sorry and really take it for what it means? Or does an apology mean something different than I'm saying I'm sorry? Or and I think people are just so used to just saying I'm sorry that it has lost any value whatsoever. Like by people doing things that are offensive and they just go, oh, I'm sorry. And we see a lot of that a lot of times when celebrities do shit and they'll go and they'll do a public apology. And yeah, shout out to Ill For Real in the comments. He says, saying I'm sorry isn't enough. True. I think that's what the difference is like with an apology because, and I think I had read somewhere that it said that apologies generally come with action. So like when you apologize to someone, that it comes with actual action. Because I had literally stopped saying I'm sorry and started saying I apologize and then making sure that I have an action afterwards and not just saying the shit just to be saying it. And my mom once told me growing up when I said I was sorry about something, or I was apologizing to somebody or saying I'm sorry to somebody once, and it really pissed her the fuck off. And she had pulled me to the side and she said, don't you ever in your life say you're sorry. Sorry is a sign of weakness. And that stuck with me for a long fucking time. And which meant that I just never felt I was sorry for anything. Or I don't even know what that means, but I know that nowadays for me, saying I'm sorry or apologizing are two different things. I prefer not to say I'm sorry because I think saying I'm sorry is just kind of like a Band-Aid, kind of like a, yeah, I'm sorry about that, whatever, and then you keep it pushing. And an apology, like I said earlier, comes with action, or should come with action, I think. Not sure. What do you think, Cam?
I think that I agree with what you said. Like an apology should come with action, and I also agree that people tend to use "I'm sorry" just like to say it, kind of like how people use the word "I love you" to kind of just say it. You know what I mean? Just to make that person feel good to further their agenda.
Well, they call that love bombing now. If you overly say something to somebody, you're love bombing them, which is like trying to manipulate them by love bombing them by saying I love you, by saying a bunch of shit like that.
Well, wouldn't that be considered the same thing then?
Saying I'm sorry?
Yeah, because like, I mean, people say they're sorry. You know what I mean? Of course, to their right and wrongs, but if we were to like, you know, talk about and say I'm sorry like that, and say like how you were just explaining it, it would be exactly in the same way because they're bombing that person into thinking that they really feel bad about, you know, what they did and whatever the situation occurred. So the I'm sorry is just to, you know what I'm saying, ease the situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. Shout out, we got the Nas Vito from Unwrap the Podcast and the Trust Tree, which is a pretty dope show. And I think this is a topic that would probably, in your thoughts, Nas Vino, on apologies, because I think from the couple of shows that apologies were in there a lot. And there was a lot of a couple of sorry, not sorries, a couple of I'm sorries. What are your thoughts on like saying I'm sorry and or apologizing?
I mean, I guess an apology might be a little bit more formal. That might be something that you need to do for the sake of a relationship. You may not necessarily feel like you're sorry, but you understand that it's necessary to move on. I
Right.
think I'm sorry comes with a little bit more of a personal intention, but I don't really care either way. I now look at people's actions. If you wrong me in some kind of way, and I feel like either I need a I'm sorry or an apology from you, whichever one I get from you, I'm looking at the action immediately following that. Like,
So wait. You don't So you don't care about someone apologizing to you or saying that they're sorry?
because like in my experience, I've gotten a lot of both of those, but the action or the behavior immediately following that, it didn't change.
Cause like it's like just words at that point. If you're not really,
Yeah.
if you're not doing nothing, you just saying shit just to say shit.
Right. So like kind of, so you know how they say like you set boundaries to teach people how to treat you. The boundary is not necessarily for the other person; it's for you because you said, I don't like this. Please don't do that. So like for me, if whatever you did requires that apology or whatever, but you still keep doing whatever it was that I needed it for in the first place, then what the hell was the apology for?
You mean I'm sorry? What do you think? First of all, before we go any further, what do you think the difference is between saying I'm sorry or saying I apologize?
Sincerity.
Sincerity.
Yeah. Because like
I think
I'd say like in a business setting. So let's say like in your 9 to 5, if you work for someone other than yourself. So let's say like somebody's rude or like their tone is terrible or like they keep talking over you in a meeting or something like that, and you voiced your concern or frustration about whatever that is. That person may not care about you at all on a personal level.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And they just generally do not. The only interaction that you have is professional, but they know that they don't want to have a tense interaction with you every time you guys have to be in the same space. You know what I'm saying? Whether if it's on a call or a face-to-face meeting or you working on a project together. So they might have just said, they might apologize to you for the sake of keeping that situation alive.
Yeah, keeping it kosher.
But if it's like, let's say it's one of us, we have a situation.
But does that like in an everyday situation, doesn't that like low key, doesn't that like tarnish the sorry or make the sorry not valuable to you? Is that why maybe you don't give a fuck about an apology or a sorry?
I mean, no, because I'd say the individual person that requires that gesture, you have to look at like your relationship and like really what does the relationship consist of? Because first and foremost, if you know the difference between I'm sorry and an apology, I mean, you good right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I would understand if it's a coworker that we don't have a personal relationship, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? You understand that I didn't like whatever it was you did. I'm frustrated about that. So you said you apologize because you now understand that that's not how you're gonna handle me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna treat me accordingly going forward, and hopefully we're not gonna be here again. But in your personal relationships, like your spouse, your kids, your cousins, whatever, like those are a lot more delicate because that's not a person that you expect to go away. Or I'm only gonna see you between the hours of 9 and 5. So we just gotta be cordial during that. Like this is somebody that's a part of your real life. Like they have your phone number. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if we say something to each other, I would expect that there's real meaning behind those words.
What do you think the mental ramifications are for somebody who's saying I'm sorry all the time or apologizing all the time and not having any sincerity or any action behind it?
I mean, wouldn't that be like, cause isn't that like a characteristic of a sociopath? Like they know what they're doing is wrong, but they don't care. Like they might just be going through the motions with that shit. Or I'd be worried that if that's true and I got somebody in my circle that's constantly doing horrible shit and they're really only saying I'm sorry because somebody pointed it out, that like they just don't get the proper way to interact with other human beings. You know what I mean? Like, am I just being overly sensitive and that's why I'm constantly requiring and I'm sorry for you? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the underlying cause? What's not being addressed with this person?
Right. Well, like I said earlier, like my mom, because I was saying I'm sorry to somebody a long time ago, got really upset with me about it and pulled me to the side and said don't ever say I'm sorry to anybody because sorry is a sign of weakness. If you're going to do anything, you apologize and that's it. And so
I could see that.
But I think at the time when she told me that, it made the sorry for me not mean anything. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm just gonna say this shit, but
But that would be like on some player shit, like, you know, like maybe amongst men, you know what I'm saying? Like if you were peers in some way, like if you were like battle rapping in the same league, or like let's say you was like you both was like players or something, or like y'all was in the same car club, or you're an acquaintance of somebody, and they step in your shoe. An apology could be fine in that situation.
Right.
Like, my bad.
Yeah. Like, but isn't that like nowadays? Isn't that like saying I'm sorry, my bad?
No,
Not
because
really.
I think in the context that your mom was speaking, like if you're truly saying I'm sorry to somebody, you're exposing your vulnerability. And like, and depending on what level we talking about, like that, there is no place for that in a situation where vulnerability should not be exposed.
Also, too, let's not forget that, you know, people use the I'm sorry because of like trauma they went through as well. Like I know people that be like, they'll say something and then they'll be like, you'll look at them like, huh? Or why'd you say that? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, why are you saying you're sorry? You don't need to say sorry that you said that. Like if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Or, you know, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. You don't have to necessarily say that you're sorry. But I feel like a lot of people use that as a copenism because of abuse, like mental abuse and, you know, emotional abuse and stuff. And that's their like,
so they just kind of going through the motions, like that's their defense mechanism.
Yeah, another way of just being like, okay, like
just
like
leave me alone.
PTSD type thing. Yeah, like you know what I mean. And I see that. I see that all the time.
The other side of that coin too would be somebody who's a master manipulator might do something wrong to somebody and realize, because of that person's reaction, but then not do it in that moment, but keep it in the pocket for when they need something from that person, and try to make it like a sincere moment, like, oh, I kind of sat back and thought about what I did, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think intention plays a big ass part in it too.
Right. Yeah, people, and it's sad to say this, but like people these days like have hidden agendas. I mean, it's not like everybody that has a hidden agenda, but like there's a lot of motherfuckers out here that have hidden agendas that will do things, get caught up doing those things, and will do things to keep you know that shit going. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry and I love you plays a big part in those situations. I feel like those are the two words that are used the wrong way, like 99% of the time.
D-Nick, you're upside down.
Or used for greater bad than greater good.
Yeah. I recently learned about something called love bombing that I thought was like crazy interesting. Like, where like they said like a lot of people will do it in situations where like somebody is messing with someone, and let's say for instance that person is married, but the other person in the relationship doesn't know that they're married, so they're gearing up to just push them up on a pedestal full of love and gifts and gratitude and wonderfulness. So when they drop that oh, I'm married bomb, the person kind of accepts it a lot better. Like they like you lighten the fall that way. There's a whole bunch of other. I'm sure you can kind of speak on this a little bit better, D-Nick, but like that was one of the examples to try to, I guess, explain it in layman's terms.
By the way, shout out to you, D-Nick, for jumping in. What do you think about what we've been talking about?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Blessings, everybody. About apology, or what she just said about love bombing.
Well, we're kind of getting into like both of them, like a little bit, but the topic is really like, is saying I'm sorry, does that even mean anything anymore? And what is the difference between an I'm sorry and an apology?
Well, I'm sorry and apology, basically that's just semantics. You know what I'm saying? I don't put no funk on that. As does it mean anything? It means the same thing it always mean. Like if there's if the person that's being apologized to don't like feel or aren't shown any restitution, I think I said that right, restitution or anything like that, if they don't feel that, or if they, then that's on the beholder of being apologized to. It's so crazy. I just like had a whole seminar about love bombing and all of that type of stuff. It's crazy. But that's another thing. But yeah, um I mean, I think it just if you can if you can atone and you can show or make restitution for what the wrong that you did, you can't take it back. But if you can, like, make restitution, or just, like I always say, eat the cost of whatever that is, then yeah, it does. It means the same thing it's always meant, like, or meant, like, because nobody if your apology don't hold weight, then it don't hold no weight. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I was told, actually, well, I don't remember if I was told or I read it, that the difference between saying I'm sorry and giving an apology was that the apology actually has action behind it, and sorry is just like words. Mm. But
I mean,
that would be semantics again, right?
yeah, I mean, that's that's like that's like MC or rapper. People are like, well, the rapper is a lyricist, or MC is a lyricist, and a rapper just be rapping. Like, shut up. They it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Master, if you sell raps, you're a rapper. If you master the ceremony, you're a master of ceremony. So whatever. Like, homie, I don't like that. Just so if you say you're sorry and they believe you, then what? That's an apology. If they don't believe you, or if there's a thing of like, yo, some I want some get back, or I want some proof that you're genuinely sorry, then like that to me is semantics. Like, I don't really jack that definition or that analogy. I just think that's people trying to, like, some intellectual trying to high sign, you know what I'm saying? And I say that as someone that's in that field. So, nah.
Well, I can say for me personally, I think I say I'm sorry sometimes, but most of the time, as of late, I say I apologize because for whatever reason, for me, it not only feels better, but I don't, for whatever reason, I'm more inclined to put action behind it.
I have a
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
I have a question.
Well, yeah, that again, that's because of what we what we put on these terms. You know what I'm saying? That's really like, the mother of my child, or baby mama. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one has a class status, and one is just like over there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, man, what we doing? You know what I'm saying? So, and I get it. People are sick of, like, when you always fucking up, they sick of, like, people saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And when, I apologize, that just sounds more academic. You know what I'm saying? So we're thought to believe, it's that class thing of like, oh, I apologize. That just sounds like it's a bigger word. It sounds more serious, and all of this. So to me, that's just semantics, yo. Like, am I making sense? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just.
I mean, you're making sense. I believe.
Or it was something that you used I'm sorry to just like say I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? You didn't like there was no intent and you knew that there was no intent.
You
So
think
now that you say, I apologize, it's different because there's intent by it. Like
But-
when you used I'm sorry, there was no intent. That's how I
Do
feel.
you, do you think that saying I'm sorry, and if you're a person that's saying I'm sorry all the time, that it becomes passive aggressive?
If you say, I mean, but you can say the same thing for apology. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize. How many people, like, if I'm around, like, I'll be around these academics and these quacks, and they always apologizing. That sounds just as shitty as the I'm sorry a million times. You know what I'm saying? If there ain't no action behind it, like, it to me is
Well, isn't that what I
semantic.
just said?
you know?
You're just talking about no action behind either or.
Yeah, no action, no
yeah.
intention. Like I said, I just look at that as like, as a class identifier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a class identifier, it's like I'm sorry, versus I apologize. It's more syllables. And so people are, you know what I'm saying? So like it's
It's more
really always
syllables, it's
about the
crazy.
action and the intent,
I agree.
What do you think and this is for both of you, Najvino and you, D-Nick, and Cam. What do you think from the person who is receiving the apology or the I'm sorry, the mental side to that is like the mental effect of that? Either anybody can chime in on that.
What do you mean?
I think if you truly feel the sincerity in whichever version of it the person's given, or whichever one you require, if you feel sincerity in it, I think from a mental standpoint, you probably would feel seen and maybe even satisfied. Whatever was done to you to wrong you and make you feel like you needed it. I mean, maybe it quenched that thirst. I don't know. I think it would be in the beholder, because you're the one that needs whatever it is. But then if it's the opposite, where it's like, okay, they really just blowing smoke, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's the beginning of a whole gaslighting situation. I don't know, but I would think maybe then that person is going to start to realize maybe this may not be the best person, to be around, because they playing games. I mean, if somebody apologize, I guess it could be as simple as they just don't think it's as serious as you do. But then in other situations, it could be that the person is a manipulator and they're out to use you for something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it still falls under, it's in the eye of the beholder, satisfaction.
I just thought of something right now. Like, whenever I'm the person who is given the apology or the sorry, I just thought of this right now. I never look for the apology. I look for the I'm sorry. Is that weird?
No, it's just
Like,
That's what you need.
but to me, if somebody says I apologize, to me, it doesn't mean shit.
But then
Which
maybe
is
that's
really
why
weird, because
I would say that's
the
why you're
opposite
looking
of
for that then, because to you, when, like you said, she said that if you say I'm sorry, that's a sign of weakness. But in reality, if someone was to come to you in that vulnerable state, then that kind of implies seriousness. Like, I really seriously didn't mean to do whatever it was. Look at me, I'm exposed here.
Right. Okay. I didn't think of it that way, because how I'm like, my brain is looking at it, like, when I say I apologize, I have real intent to make that right, or I don't know if making it right is the right word, but to put action behind it. But when I'm receiving it, there's a part of me that prefers I don't know if prefer is the right word, but it means more to me to hear that I'm sorry from someone. But when I'm giving it, I don't like saying I'm sorry. I prefer to say I apologize and put action behind the apology. Is that class-ish? Like you were saying?
Yeah, that's totally. But to you, I wanted to hear Cam's answer to your question.
Yeah, so I honestly wanted you to elaborate more about the mental part, because I wasn't quite understanding what you were asking. So,
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, like the
Elaborate.
effects of like someone if you're constantly receiving this sorry or this apology, the mental effects that it may have on you in that relationship, the stresses maybe, and maybe how you even outside of that relationship or whatever it is outside of that, how you respond to other people if they step on your shoe and say I'm sorry or whatever. You know, especially if you're like, if an sorry or an apology or anything like that doesn't hold any value anymore because you heard it so much, somebody manipulated you, somebody whatever, but how that affects you mentally, your mental state, your emotional state, your behavior towards others. If they come at you, if something happens and they're like, "Yo, I'm sorry about that, bro. Didn't mean that."
Okay. Well, if it was like someone I was in a relationship with or like someone that I dealt with on an everyday basis and they always told me that they were sorry, like it wouldn't really hold that much value to me, especially if it was like all the time and they didn't really show any action. Now, like if it was someone random out there, like I wouldn't hold that person to that type of standard because I don't even know that person for real. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that person from a can of paint. So who am I to be like, okay, his sorry didn't really mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it did. And that's also coming from me. I look at the glass a lot of the time half full. So that person could generally like really mean that he was sorry for stepping on my shoe or he was sorry for, running into me because, I mean, it happens all the time. Motherfuckers don't be paying attention. They'll be on their phone or, you know what I'm saying, trying to chase after their daughter or son, you know what I'm saying, in the store and they'll run into somebody. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, fucking piece of shit. You're not sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it happens. It happens.
I mean, I'm sure it does, but you know, me personally, I'm not going to do that. I don't know. First off, I don't know who the fuck you are. And second off, you know, it's first off, I'm gonna be like, what the hell? And then if you're like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be like, oh, it's all good.
Right.
At least I got something from that person. Now, if that person just ran into me and didn't say shit, okay, now it's a different story. But at least the person said, I'm sorry, or I apologize, or excuse me, or, you know, my bad. You know what I mean? But if it was like, for instance, like my brother or something, and every time that my brother fucked up, he was like, I'm sorry, bro. And he continued to do the same thing over and over again and continued to say he was sorry. Like, my mental state is going to be like, this motherfucker's not sorry. You know what I'm saying? He's just saying that so we can just move on from the situation. Now, if he said he was sorry to me all the time and then came back and said he apologized, first off, I'm going to be like, whoa, that's different. You know what I mean? Because he always says he's sorry. And then I'm going to think, well, maybe he is sorry. Maybe there is going to be a little action. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean?
I see your face kind of scrunch up over there, D. What were you thinking?
Oh, I was just thinking about the question. I mean, okay. I gotta be this guy. Why y'all do this to me? All right, so just because you feel that you're owed an apology does not mean that they're owed your forgiveness, whether they atone or not. You know what I'm saying? So if someone atones, you know, like you don't gotta forgive them. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, like, that's and if they are like, what? I just made it right and I apologize. Well, you know, check your ego. They ain't gotta forgive you, motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. You're not owed their forgiveness, and that's okay. You atone and make right because it's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, and so there's that. And then as far as the mental, that really depends on relationship and like, because there's some people who, like, for me, it's about the attention, the intention. Because some people, like, what is your intention? Why are you always fucking up? Because you're apologizing because you're always fucking up. Mm-hmm. You know, so if your intention is like that of a swindler, and a charlatan or a snake, and you always fucking up, i.e., maybe fucking me over, and you're and you're always apologizing, then all right, man, it means nothing. If you're just, you don't mean no bad, but you always fucking up because you a class A fuck up, then all right, I'll forgive you. You don't know shit. You a fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So I got, I don't have to, I might not let you know that I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? But, I'll probably forgive you because I don't hold, it doesn't help me to hold dark stuff on me, but I don't gotta let you know that like I forgive you and you a fuck up. I'm just like peace and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
What if I
that's
told you that there is a single line
that
to the
comes
golf
in.
swing? And if you're on the correct side of this line, even just this
Hold
much,
on, I got.
you're going to play the most
I accidentally
consistent golf of your life.
Freaking.
In fact, once I
put this shit on.
Oh.
And I gotta. It's not letting me change the volume on. Change the volume on it. So.
Fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm just like.
There we go. Let's go somewhere else. Okay. We're good.
So apologize, Heat.
Yeah. My apologies for that little fuck up right there.
I'm messing with you, brother.
Well, I was gonna say that shit anyways. That's the crazy part. I was gonna say it anyways. Yo.
Also, y'all gotta forgive me if I look stiff and crazy. I got a sleeping baby on my lap, so.
Oh, you're good.
I'm only moving in certain directions.
I was in the store earlier today, and my cart was in the way of somebody a little bit, and this is kind of why I thought of this topic, because I said he was coming that way, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Let me get my cart the hell out of your way." And he was just, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what like his response was like. You ain't got to be sorry, my brother. You ain't got to be sorry, my brother. And I thought in that moment, I was like, when's the last time like somebody said something like that? Like, I don't know. The way that I took it was like I don't know. Like it was kind of like extending some kind of something to me. And
Great. Great.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
grace.
so like that is missing in everyday life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was you that I had this conversation with at the beginning of the week. It's my priority now to ask people genuinely how they're doing. So you know how when you pass people, you're like, oh, what's up? How you doing? And then everybody's like, oh, I'm good, and you? Like that's like a rapid fire response. Like you're not even paying attention to what you're saying anymore. Like I want to do that. Like because I feel like that's graceful. Like people need that.
Yeah.
So like you were being polite and saying, I'm sorry, let me get my cart out of your way, but he was just letting you know. I mean, it's an honest mistake. It's all good, because sometimes people are rude as hell and they'll roll their eyes at you, not even say thank you, not even acknowledge that you apologize. You know what I'm saying? That you said I'm sorry because your cart was there. You know, like that is sincerity and grace.
That's interesting, because it really did hit me, and I stood there after I moved the cart. I stood there for a second, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because it kind of like, huh? You know what I mean? And I was just like, "Oh wow!" Like, where did the disconnect from that kind of stuff happen? You know what I mean? Which made me think about, does "I'm sorry" even mean anything anymore, or what's the difference between an "I'm sorry" and an apology for this show tonight? Because that shit really.
What about my bad? What about my bad?
My
and
bad doesn't mean
part
shit
body
to me.
and things of that nature. Like
my bad doesn't mean jack to me. It doesn't mean jack. Oh, my bad. Yeah, it is your bad. I say that a lot. If somebody says that to me, I'll say that damn near immediately.
Man, semantics, man. That's some classism shit, man. I can't. That's just like slang for I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know,
Where
man.
I come from, somebody saying I'm my bad is like, oh, my bad.
But you can also feel. So someone once said my bad to me, but the way they said it, I knew that, you know what I'm saying, they were sincere about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
my bad. You know what I mean?
Right. Or my bad, it's like the inflection, I guess.
Yeah, like it's when someone like sorry versus oh, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
like my bad, shit. Or it's like oh my bad. Like
Yeah. It's
it's.
all how
I
you
mean, we
say
don't
it.
speak we don't speak Cantonese, but it's still there's still like a tonality to
Mhm.
our language, and that like gives certain things, certain inflections, give them genuine meaning.
Hmm.
Yeah. People forget about tones and how powerful their tone is, like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and how that can carry, you know what I'm saying, and affect other people. They don't really think about that.
No, yeah. I'm a person that has to constantly be aware of my tone, constantly, and
That's
You do.
stuff. I side tangent. I remember like saying hello when I was in China, and they were like, what are you saying? And I was like, oh, saying hello. They was like, why do you say it like that? Because you know how you say hello in Cantonese is y'all day, but I was saying it like a black dude. I'm like, y'all day. And they like, what the like it didn't have any meaning. And
right.
it's like, no, you can't, don't say it like that. Say y'all day. And like, but in my Americanness, that sounds like I'm making fun of you motherfuckers. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So I wasn't, I had to get comfortable to be like, y'all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because that's how we make fun of these people. And they was like, but they didn't have that. It was like, no, it doesn't have any meaning if you don't say it like us. Y'all like speak Spanish. I think y'all know like that comes in with that language as well. Like there's
Mm.
a tonality for how you got to say
There's
that. But as
definitely
someone who only speak English and it be signifying and swallowing spit and talking shit, as like my culture does, like I didn't know, like I had to get comfortable with saying that. So it's the same thing though, in like, because me saying that here, like in America, if I'm to say everything like "y'all there, hi July," like it sounds like, why you making fun of them people like that? You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, but but like Cantonese and Mandarin is a tonal language, but here we're kind of half of a tonal language. So how you say things just like tell if it's sarcastic or if it's genuine, or if it's like I ain't really want to say sorry, I ain't really want to apologize. All right, man, I apologize. And then the adjectives that go on, all right, man, I apologize. Damn. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
all of that type of extra stuff kind of goes into it. So we're not purely a tonal language, but we kind of have some of that too.
Well, it's
You
like
know.
in a lot of other languages that Latin based as well. There's masculine and feminine. So if you do say it a certain way, you're addressing, like if I address a man in a feminine way, like in the tonality of it basically I'm addressing him as a fucking woman. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Even in an apology,
mm.
so like it's like that in French and Italian and like in Spanish, it's the same thing. That has there's masculine and feminine way to say certain shit.
So in English, we got the sarcasm and the disingenuousness, and and some people just talk like that, where they were trained to talk like that, or everybody like they just grew up like that. So you know, like knowing somebody really feeds into that stuff. Like so yeah, and then like we just talked about like our own perceptions of classism, like my bad or sorry versus I apologize, and all of this it's all semantics and mean the same shit,
Mm.
but it's how we say it.
I had a whole, and I just forgot. I think I just like got my coffee just started kicking in, because I had a
And
whole.
also,
I,
some people use "it's all good" as a valid acceptance of the "I'm sorry" or the apology or the "my bad."
Yeah.
yeah, because I say no worries a lot. No worries. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Guilty. I'm there.
Yeah. Hmm. This is really interesting. Like when you really think about it, and that's like why I said that when dude at the grocery store earlier, when he said that to me, it kind of took me back a little bit, took me aback a little bit, and I was like, the fuck, and it had me thinking about all of that, and like, do we owe people grace at all? Is
I
it,
think if you want it in return, you do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning. Like when I kind of act in that graceful frequency, where like I'm intentional about everything. I'm not aggressive in any way unprovoked. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm coming in the store, not necessarily with a smile on my face, but I'm just I'm just happy about my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to stay on that frequency, and then I feel like what I'm getting from other people is very similar,
hmm,
as opposed to me going in the grocery store with an ice grill or just pissed off because I'm not in the bed and I got to be in the grocery store around other people. And then sometimes you might get hostility or tension or maybe like an angst kind of environment. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to be graceful and just be very positive and put out happy vibes because that's all the fuck I want back.
happy vibes? Which makes me think like about the apologies and the I'm sorries and anything, because when I started to, like, I hate to even say I started to, because there's been lots of times in my life where I said I'm sorry or apologized and I meant it, but sometimes my actions didn't reflect it. But
Mhm.
as of late, doing that has opened up other shit. And just to double back on what you were saying about asking someone how they're doing or how they're feeling, I ask that shit all the time now, but there's a real intent because I really want to know. I really want to know
Hmm.
if somebody's okay, if they're not okay, and a lot of that stemmed from me actually uh, putting action behind my apologies. And I don't know if those two work together, but it just feels like that when I started to really put action behind my apologies, that all of these other things started to like work their way in. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Would you all agree that it comes from like the same bucket of sincerity? Because like when we start to operate like robots and machines, where let's say you bump into somebody, you're not even really paying attention to who you bumped into. You haven't looked at their face. You barely noticed that you bumped into them. You right away, oh my bad, or oh I'm sorry, and you didn't even really mean anything because you just said it because that was the reflex. You know, Same thing where when you make eye contact with somebody, you might be like, oh yeah, how you doing? You don't even wait for them to respond, or like, I remember when I was a little kid, if you was walking down the street, let's say you're going from your house to the store, every person that you encountered, you actually kind of had some sort of exchange with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was way more of a friendly vibe as opposed to just going through the motions. But nowadays people don't do that in either. Like people are walking past each other, neighbors are walking past each other, not even acknowledging each other. You know what I'm saying? Like people try to stay away from people in the store. It's like it's just like the only thing we have in common is that we all have beating hearts. We don't acknowledge anything else. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Wow.
And I personally I don't like that because like I feel like when I behaved a certain way and when I did things a certain way, I feel like the vibe and the reaction in my interactions with people were one way, and then I kind of started to notice like I don't really like how this shit feels. you know,
Right.
or like, with us doing all these different shows, we're having to be way more social. Like we cannot operate like that. Like, could you imagine that shit if we was on autopilot for 6 hours at some sort of event? Like that is excruciating. And in real life, I just don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to dab somebody or if I'm introduced to somebody, like I would like to give them that piece of me for that small amount of time. At least make eye contact and give them a genuine handshake or hug or something like that. Like all that other stuff is weird.
Hmm. Something to think about. What do you think, Cam? You're being extra quiet.
I'm just listening, honestly. No,
Alright.
but no, yeah, I agree with Nas Vino.
Hmm.
I agree with Nas Vino.
Well, I'm going to agree to something that this we ran out of time. Real quick, and as we do every show, we're going to go around and everybody give the last words. D-Nick, start with you, then Nash, then Cam, then me.
Yeah, I don't think a apology and or I'm sorry or my bad or I don't think it lost any of its meaning. You know, people either receive or they don't receive it, and just because you apologize and or you feel like you deserve an apology, and when an apology comes, like they're not entitled. I won't say they don't deserve, but they're not entitled to like the grace and the forgiveness and that's a hard pill for everybody to swallow. But if you mess up, then it just is what it is. But if you apologize with intent, like, and you make restitution, however you need to make restitution, if you feel you need to make restitution. Sometimes you apologize and you don't feel that you need to make restitution, and that's okay too. Just keep it moving. Just don't be malice in it. You're not entitled to anything. It's for you, and if you want to be a better person and you apologize and you make restitution for that apology, then cool. And the whole other thing, that's just semantics and some classist shit, about like, because you can judge someone by how they say, oh, my bad, like, okay, he that type of person or she that type of person. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, blessings.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you, D-Nick. Thanks for chiming in, man. You know we love you over here, bro. Appreciate you so much. Naslino?
I mean, I want for myself, truly love, peace, and understanding. And I feel like the way you get there is by consuming and extending grace. So that's how I'm operating. If somebody is apologizing, saying my bad, whatever it is, I'm hoping that it's with sincere intention. Because if it's not, then you can keep that shit. Because I would really try to not do that to somebody else. And if I'm around someone and I'm getting that energy, like like the pettiness is coming out of me, and I'm thinking to myself like, man, fuck this dude. All right, my bad. And and something like that comes out of me, then I'm not fucking with that person no more. Like we're really having a with an arm's length relationship, because I don't even want to be around people that pull me out of my body like that. Like I'm dead ass serious about positive fucking energy. You know what I'm saying? We only have so much time, and I don't want to fuck around with mine no more. You know what I mean? Like I've cleaned out my circle, and like all the people that are left in a real way, you know what I'm saying, that actually have my phone number, and when you call, I answer. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even fuck around like that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people around me that do. You know what I'm saying? So like it's all about grace for me. Grace and intention.
Well, thank you very much for those words, and I think they were dope as fuck. Actually, both of you guys, just really fucking helped with the show tonight. Thank you. Love you, Nash. Thank you for being on tonight. Cam, last words.
Man, just do unto others as you want done unto yourself.
Yes, sir.
And you know what I'm saying? Stand for something. Be a leader, don't be a follower.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on the show, Cam. You already know I love you. My bad. Just kidding. I'm going to end the show by saying what I guess I kind of agree and disagree with the class of the word, but it's semantics again, because on that level, I prefer to say I apologize and put action behind it, and when receiving it, I prefer to hear I'm sorry, because for whatever reason it feels real to me, and that may be backwards. I don't know, but that's just how I feel about it. And I agree also with I don't feel like I'm not owed anything by my apologies. I'm not owed anything, and it's important for me And I think it's important for people to understand, like, if I apologize, I'm doing that shit for you, and I'm doing it for myself, because I'm putting action behind it. And me putting action behind it has helped me deal with a whole lot of other shit. And it's important for me to extend grace as well, because I think for me, extending grace has helped me understand even my own faults, even my own shit, even more so. And if I had anything to say about tonight, I would say extend grace to everybody, because we all need some grace, man, for real. And with that being said, this has been the check-in. Thank you, D-Nick. Love you to death, bro. Thank you, Nash Vino. Love you to death. Cam, I love you to death, son. And we out. Peace.